and welcome to another edition of ToughTalk. My name is Medina Zaki. In 2015, when President Muhammad Buhari administration came on board, it made agriculture the centerpiece of the diversification agenda through the execution of many policies and programs. 5 years down the line, agri-revolution has significantly reduced food importation, especially rice, that has cost the country billions of dollars in the past and created millions of jobs along the value chain. Contribution of the sector to the nation's GDP in the first quarter of 2020 is 21.96%, which is higher than the 21.8% and the 21.66% recorded in the first quarter of 2019 and 2018 respectively, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. However, insecurity in the northern part of the country and the ravaging COVID-19 pandemic poses a huge challenge to the nation. These and more are some of the issues I'll be discussing with my guests after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. My guest is an administrator, a banker, and one who has been in the agri sector since 1973. Alh.Sabo, Nanono, the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much for.
What is the story of the real farmer today?
The story of
the real farmer.
The real Nigerian farmer.
Yes.
Well, I will tell you, over the last, I can say 5 years, the Nigerian farmer has noticed fundamental changes in the agricultural sector in terms of direction of where we want him to be. And I can tell you, Nigerian farmer is now that he knows himself that he is a farmer and that he is not alone. There is government behind him. Over the years, the government has been very supportive to the small-scale farmers in particular, in providing them with the necessary inputs, providing them with the necessary information through extension services, and giving them protection. For example, the rice farmers. Over the last 3 years, the government has been supporting them. Not only the rice farmer, but even the institutions that have linkage with the farmers, like rice milling plants and others and others. And I tell you, before nobody was talking that Nigeria was producing rice. Only that people recognize that Nigeria has potential of producing rice. In 2019, Nigeria came from nowhere to become the 13th producer of rice in the world and the first in Africa. And that is a big achievement, which the policy of this government brought about this success. Most people do not know it, but today I'm telling them, the Food and Agriculture Organization, after making survey of world producers of rice from China, which is number 1, down to Nigeria, number 13, 2019 we produced 5.1 million tons of fed rice, which is unprecedented in the history of this country. So Nigerian farmer today has somewhere to hold on to, has somewhere to depend. We may have problems here and there, but we are trying to alleviate this problem and make the Nigerian farmer even much greater than the farmer that we knew probably 10 years ago or thereabout.
How would you react to people who say the real Nigerian farmer still suffers the headache of fertilizer, which, yes, the government price is about 5,500 or 7,000, but he still buys it in the market for 19,000. He has to deal with the issue of middlemen.
Well, let me tell you,
why has that issue not been addressed totally?
No, the issue was addressed until recently when we had some small hitch But I think that hitch is being cleared, and the farmers will soon get their fertilizer. I have made a survey all over the country and found out that the prices of fertilizer have gone up seriously. And we are going to have an engagement soon on this issue and resolve
What is the
it
reason
once and
for
for all.
this issue to rise up in the first place?
Well, the problem was this. I think there were, we used to have an agreement with Morocco on supply of raw materials, and that agreement lapsed, and I think it is now that is being renewed, or even if it is not going to be renewed, the government will be open now at least to bring in the necessary raw materials to blending plants to blend fertilizer for use in this country.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, I saw you recently in Kogi State distributing seedlings and fertilizers.
Yes.
And people will say in the north central part of the country where the rain starts earlier, April, March, and you're distributing seedlings and fertilizer in June. Does that make any sense?
It does, because in any case the farmers are still planting, and the target crops, maize, in north central, in some places they plant maize twice or even 3 times a year. So we know what we are doing exactly.
Why did the distribution take place earlier? Say in March, say in April?
Well, there are some problems of logistics which normally they do happen. But let me tell you, there are times in this country when fertilizers are given in September. So the ones that we gave in June, we know in particular the area that we want. As the time we are there, still they are planting maize, and even now they are planting maize.
Okay. Honorable Minister, during the South-South Agro-Industrial inspections to town hall meeting sometime this year in Calabar, I think about March, you were quoted as saying that agro-industrialization is the key to the Nigeria's economic viability, and it would reduce high rate of unemployment, boost economy, guarantee food security, and advance the level of trade and investment. And you did say that mechanization revolution will be kick-started in 6 months across the country, and it will be private sector driven. Where are we as regards that?
Well, it's a broad statement with regard to the synergy between the agricultural sector and the industrial sector. Really, that's the key. And that is the one that will reduce the high level of employment in this country. That is often at macro level. Now we are just doing it at micro level, small processing plants and other things like that. But when we start thinking at the micro level, we are thinking of creating a synergy between the agricultural sector and the industrial sector, where a large number of people will be employed, i.e., what the agricultural produces. Take, for example, cotton. From cotton production to cotton ginning to spinning and buffing to dyeing and printing to packaging. This is a vertical value chain, and at every level you are creating employment opportunities. If you take the horizontal level from the ginning, you go into seed processing, you go into production of oil, vegetable oil, you go into livestock feeds. So you have a whole issue of integration between the agricultural sector and the industrial sector. And it's only when you have that synergy at the high level, you can be able to employ a large number of people and be able to get people out of the street. And that is the position that the government is putting itself to. And I think if we pursue this aspect, or which we are pursuing vigorously, is something that will be the salvaging of this country.
Has the project started?
No, it is already, now the issue is the production of cotton has started.
Now about the mechanization.
Oh, I am coming to that. The production of cotton has already started. Some of the textile mills are on board, but we need it at a higher level. With regard to mechanization, the mechanization is going to cover 632 local governments in the country. We have now got the approval of the Federal Executive Council and the approval of the National Assembly to get the mechanization on board. The funding for that, which is a loan facility that will be secured by from the Brazilian Development Bank, as well as from the Deutsche Bank, that has finally been agreed upon. The tractors, which will be the engine, the prime mover of this exercise, we hope that by December they will arrive, and some of the trucks assembly plants will start working on them, because they will come in and knock down parts. That will create in itself employment opportunities. Our calculation is, when this mechanization is fully on board, at least will create about 7 million employments of youth in this sector. How does it go about? These service centers in all the states, in all the local 632 local governments, will have a director hiring unit, a admin and IT unit, a mechanic unit, and a storage facility. The character hiring scheme is a prime mover of this. How does it work? Each track will have a tracking system. Wherever your tractor is working in this country, you know the area it covers, where it is located, how much money is making.
Farmer,
yes.
How do I benefit directly from the scheme?
Oh, it's very easy. The service centers will be owned by private sector, by private people from that particular local government. One is fully established. A farmer need to give just about 4 hours notice. Will get a track to his farm, whether he has a half hectare or 10 hectares or 20 or 30 acres of land. That is not a big deal.
Okay, all right. Now, in the agri sector, crop production seems to be the one in the lead out of the 4. In the lead, the crop production. You have crop production, livestock, forestry, and fishery.
Yes.
And then from the statistic from the NBS, the crop production still gives you about 90.5% of the overall GDP from the agri sector. Now, according to a United Nations report, Nigeria livestock industry is worth 30 trillion naira. And also in that report, we have about 20 million heads of cattle, several millions of heads of sheep. Now the federal government came up with the livestock transformation plan, an initiative that was supposed to be done in collaboration with the states under the National Economic Council. And we do understand that that plan was supposed to run from 2019 to 2028 with a proposed budget of 100 billion to implement. My question is, the first question is, has that plan begun? And 2, why would the government use a mere 100 billion, to deal with the issues of a 30 trillion industry?
Well, let me tell you a simple answer. It's just a start. We're not saying the government is just putting a ceiling of 100 billion once it is finished. It's an ongoing process. And it's not a simple process, probably, as you might have seen. But let me tell you what is. Now, we are resuscitating this livestock development program. And we are selecting some line states, key states, Gombe, Bauchi, Plateau, and Benue. That will be our model project. In fact, the first one, we hope it will start from Gombe. The reason why is,
when will it start?
I think we are going to give us a consultancy work which will be finished in the next 3 months. The good thing about Gombe is they have about 200,000 hectares gazetted, owned by government, and there is little encroachment there. So really you can easily take off from there. And once that it is established, we will also move to other states. But let me tell you something that is happening in the livestock industry. The private sector is also going vigorously into this. And for me, if they even can go ahead and take over, I will be most pleased. They have started in Ogun State and Osun, and I think oil. The manufacturers of pig milk, I think Wamco, yes. They have formed the Fulanis around there into clusters. They are improving the improving them genetically. They have established a system of collecting the milk that they produce, and they process them into powdered milk, into the usual liquid milk, into yogurt and other things like that.
Okay.
Ultimately, apart from that, they are moving now to Niger. They are acquiring probably something in the region of 10,000 hectares for that purpose. They are moving to Abuja also to establish something, so that in the process, the Fulanis may even be now permanently settled without going anywhere or roaming about from one place to another. Kaduna State, with cooperation of Ghana, they are also establishing similar clusters. In Kano, some private sector people have started doing exactly what we want them to do in the livestock sector. So the issue of cattle rearing and breeding is now a business. If you want it, you take it. If you don't want it, nobody will force you to put a ranch or to put anything. It's now really a business.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the livestock transformation plan and the Ruga plan, which has been executed in many states, including your state?
You know what we call in Hausa is Danjuma and Lenjuma. They are all the same thing.
Okay, so they are one and the same.
They are one and the same thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Just recently, the Ministry of Digital Economy came up with smart agriculture, and I think they launched it in Jigawa State with about 130 farmers. How does it work?
Smart agriculture is nothing but introducing technology into the agricultural sector, so that you can be able to assess the needs of the farmer, to know the soil condition in his farm, what type of fertilizer he requires in his farm, what type of seed, what type of crop will do best there. And that can easily be analyzed through an technological system. So whether you see him already, you can give him advice, your farm in so place, Google in so place. Well, this is what you require. That is all you are talking about, the digital farming or whatever it is. And for your information, we are just in the process of digital registrations in Nigerian farmers. We have already digitalized 1,124,000 farmers, and in the process, within the next 2 weeks probably we will reach about 3 million farmers registered digitally. From my office, probably I can look and say, I want to see this farm in that place, and it's just a matter of pressing the button, I will know it.
Okay. And so the rural farmer is included?
It's included.
Okay.
It's included.
All right. Let's go to the Ankobora scheme, the one the CBN launched since 2016.
Yes.
For a lot of people, the Ankobora scheme benefits more of political thugs and calculator farmers. That's what a lot of people will tell you. Can you tell us, how much impact has that policy on the lives of farmers?
Well, probably the best person to ask us this question is the governor of Central Bank, because he is the one that is in charge of the Ankobora, not me. But let me tell you, at least in that sectors that I know, if you take the rice value chain, I think they have done a lot in that regard, no matter what one may say. Especially with more or less banning of the importation of rice and the closure of the border. Farmers that benefit, and even those that do not benefit from Ankobora because of this exercise by the government to close the border, rice production has gone up, and I have told you last year we produced 5.1 million tons. This has given rise to so many milling plants in this country. I know in Kano in particular, we have about 10 major milling plants with capacity from 180 million tons to about 400 million tons per day. And there are others in other states like Katsina, like Kaduna, like Sokoto, and Lagos. So, and that has created an employment opportunities for our teeming population. Apart from the smaller, less integrated mills and the clusters of processing mills across the country. So to that extent, there has been an achievement, not only in the Ankobora system, but in the policies that the government set up to protect the Nigerian farmer and also to protect the Nigerian milling industry. And that, to that extent, I think The government has done a lot. And mark you, probably, you can imagine, had this decision has not been taken, what would have happened to Nigeria now in terms of, say, rice importation and rice consumption? Probably we would have no rice to consume now. If we were relying on importation of rice, in the first way, most countries have closed their borders, so they cannot bring the rice to you. Secondly, even if they do, we don't have the foreign exchange to bring the rice into this country. But now, no matter how expensive our local rice is, but you can look for it and get it and buy.
But the question is, why is the local rice very expensive?
There are many reasons.
No, what is the major one?
It's the cost of production. And that is why this issue of mechanization is very, very essential.
Okay, so we'll begin to see a reduction in the price from next
Absolutely.
year.
Absolutely. Once mechanization picks up, a lot of cost profile in the agricultural sector will change.
How are you going to be dealing with those who are going to be exploiting the system for their own gains?
Who are they?
Especially the farmers or the middlemen.
How? That's why we said this agricultural mechanization system is going to be a private sector driven. It's going to be by private sector people. Government role in this exercise is to provide the necessary guarantee for necessary equipment for mechanization to come into the country. There will be a bidding process. In the bidding process, the best person that has the necessary requirements to own these service centers will be given these service centers. It is his own. He will make an investment probably between 8 and 10 million naira. He will be handed over an asset worth over 150 million naira, assuming he is given 10 directors. Because a director now is about 14 point something million naira, plus other equipment, it will get to about 15 million naira or thereabout. And if you are a real farmer, you make an investment of 8-10 million naira, you are given an asset worth 150 million naira. I mean, if you can manage it well, you can easily pay the loan, and this asset probably in between 7 to 8 years will become your own. Let me tell you, being a farmer, I have been using tractors, hiring them. I am paying between 65 to 75,000 naira per day for a tractor. And the cost, the operational cost of a tractor, at least in my place, is between 30 to 35,000. So at least you can be able to net between 30 and 35,000 naira per day, neat. And if you project that into about 7-8 years, you will be able to pay the cost of these tractors that are given to this service center. And every tractor, well maintained, a tractor will last 25 years.
Okay.
So
it's a long-term investment with huge benefits.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's an opportunity to lift the farmer from just a peasant to an agro-business farmer.
Okay. For some people, it will be, why not create about 15% big-time farmers, rather than having farmers all over and not producing enough for the country, like other countries where you have just 15% and they're producing enough and even for export. Are we going through that, towards that direction?
People, when they talk about in the United States, only 12% of the farmers produce what they eat. Well, you have to think how that economy was integrated. I don't like to go into history. China tried what you are talking about, and India, and failed. The backbone of the farming business in these two countries I mentioned to is the peasant farmers, and we have similarities. 70% of the farmers in this country are peasant farmers, and they are the ones that are holding this country together because they are the ones that are feeding us. Whether people realize it or not, these small farmers that you see them working with their hoe, they are the ones that are feeding this nation, and they are the backbone of our food security. It has been that in China, it has been that in India. It is not going to be different in Nigeria. But the mechanization that will help them to speed up the process. And how can that make them to speed up the process? They will be made into clusters farmers. I don't know. If you know, you can find a group of farmers and cluster them. Say, okay, you have 1 acre. You have 10 acres. I have 20. I have half an acre. You work it out how how much will it cost you to pay for the mechanization that is going to go into your farm. You work it out as per the size of your farm. You pay. Something that will take you 7 days to finish is finished in 1 day. And you can easily go up plenty. You have cut down the time frame.
Okay.
And like you, this mechanization also comes with a working capital for inputs, seeds, fertilizer, pesticides attached to it.
So it's a whole package.
It's a whole package.
Okay. And recently 13 billion was approved for the ministry for pest control.
It's not only for pest control. Pest control is one. The reason why it got headlines is because we went and launched it in Kebbi with the airplanes that are spraying this, that catch the headline. But apart from the pest control, there is transboundary diseases, cattle getting in out of the country, rabies, and the renovation of abattoirs across the country. So it's a whole package. It's not only for pest control. And if you look at it, this is just probably certain percentage of the whole effort in this subsector. But we are warned by the Food and Agricultural Organization that we have to take prompt action, proactive action, because we are likely to face locusts in Beijing, in Chad, Niger, Sudan, and Nigeria. So they gave us this warning about 2 to 3 months ago, in fact twice. And obviously we have to be prepared, because they said they had similar situation in the East African countries and Central Africa and part of Central African countries, and it was a devastating blow to the agricultural sector. We cannot just wait until it comes, and that's why we prepare ourselves. And in all the front line states, we have taken measures that immediately we see a sign of this locust, because it's the one that is more difficult to control, and the queller birds also. Then we start moving in to minimize the effect, if possible to eliminate it totally.
So the farmers can go home and sleep when it comes to pest?
I will tell them, I will hope that they will go home and sleep.
Okay. With the insurgency and the insecurity in the northern part of the country and the ravaging pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, are you worried that we will have food insecurity, especially in 2020?
I am worried. I am worried. And I hope each one of those out of our way by God's grace. They are real, but we should not be timid to confront it. We will not say because of this we are not going to farm. We have to do it because we have to feed ourselves. Otherwise you have a more serious banditry and the Boko Haram than the real Boko Haram, because hunger is something that goes into everybody's house. So the government is taking measures along the line. In the Ministry of Agriculture, we have been testing a project for securing the training of agro rangers. We have now trained, I think, over 2,000. We intend to put more money in that regard. We have tested in Maiduguri and in Borno State, and it worked very well. And we are going to expand that exercise. So from that angle, we have taken some measures and we are going to do it. But the most important thing is this banditry and the Boko Haram or something of that sort is something that people need to take a reflection. Government is a forefront, and it is the responsibility of government to secure people. But also, if you look at the way and the manner this banditry is taking place, you have to think as a people, really. The whole system, it is a community level, it is a religious level, it is a local level, it has broken down. You just need to see how some of these young people involved in this exercise, when they are being interviewed, you see the way they are behaving and the way they are talking. You know that there's a fundamental problem there. Team people and give them something to do. Probably some of this will happen arising from some mistake somewhere, you know. But we need to sit down, reflect, and think seriously about this and how we are going to disabuse this matter. Just as we are talking about this livestock and some of that, okay. People sometimes say the Fulanis are going to, but the Fulanis that have wealth, have means, are even more at risk than even the ordinary farmer that you are thinking of. Because they go and they take over the cattle run and sell them. And even these cattle herders, farmers that you are talking about, is something that has been happening for a long time. But it's now that people have taken it to the next level of politics and other. What is a business or a church or a mosque with the farmers' conflict? Everyone needs everyone. And what people do not understand, these herders that you see roaming about, they are the richest rural people in the West African sub-region and in the East African sub-region. Because you see a boy with 5 cows or 10 cows, he's a millionaire. How many people are millionaires in the rural area? Very few. So you have to think of, and it's a national asset, serious national asset. And we should do all what we can do to save it, because everyone needs it. If you see the value chain created by one cow, from the time you bring it to the market, the transporter will start benefiting. From the time it is slaughtered, there are so many people that get their livelihood on that cow. If you start counting the number of people that benefit from the slaughter of that cow, you will not believe it. From the one that is buying the fresh meat, from the one that is making soya or kilishi, from the one that is taking the bones and doing something with it, several people are on that cow, and several people are getting their income and the money to feed themselves and their family in that regard. But people don't realize, they just see cow is not a menace, it's an asset, and it's a national asset. Yes.
I'm wondering, Mr. Before we go, do you have the statistic of how many millions jobs the agricultural sector has been able to create, the agri-revolution from 2015 till date?
Well, every farmer in this country is a job owner. They say we have about 70 million farmers. I don't believe that. Because normally if you go to a village house, you have 10 people in a house. You ask everybody, will tell you is a farmer. But probably the real farmers there may not be more than 3 or 4. But at least we have no less than 35 million farmers, active farmers in this country between the ages of 15 and 45.
35 million.
At least, yes, we have that population engaging people in the agricultural sector, engaging them. Now, as we move towards industrialization and creating a macro sustainable synergy between the agricultural sector and the industrial sector, these people in the farming sector will move to the industrial sector because of this opportunity of creating a macro level value chain. And in the process, agriculture is being mechanized, and gradually the population of the agriculture that will feed the nation may not be even more than 15 or 20%. But the rest will be absorbed by the industrial activities arising from the expansion of the agro-allied industries.
Right. Yeah. And finally, where do you hope to take agriculture in the next 3 years? Because you did say during your inauguration that everybody must sit up.
Well, let me tell you, the president said we produce what we eat and we eat what we produce. We move forward to get food self-sufficiency. We mechanize to increase production in this country. Not only that, we go to the next level of what we produce, we process it through other processes. So in the process, we create employment opportunities for other people. That's my dream.
Okay. And it's achievable, isn't it?
Very much so.
Alh.Sabo, Nanono, Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, thank you very much indeed for it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.